All right, guys, hey, we'll finish up here with CGC, Canopy Growth Corp. Yeah, the pot stocks are definitely in favor of late. Now, we've done this several times here, so we know how very technical it is. We know algorithms are all in here. Now, in green here, fairly solid, 3, 4, 5. We've got an impulse, and we finish with an impulse. So I think this is hard to argue with a completed impulse. So just as we would with any completed motive wave, we're going to tee that up. ABC, right? So it looks like we can come down here. So you look here and say, oh, okay, I got an A, I got a B, and I got a C. But, yeah, so we don't quite make the golden zone. So you look and you wonder why. Well, this is about as good evidence as I can put in front of you. So let's get that right on there, down to the A. Now that should tell you whether or not there's any algorithms in here. So here's the 50. Okay, it's unbelievable. To the target, to the tick, look at the reaction. Right? That's how we know it's an algorithm, right? It's not here, it's what happens here. So buy side taking profit and the reaction here. Now this is where it gets tricky here. So it's very solid ABC, and you can we understand why we don't make golden zone here. So with that said, now let's think about where we are here. So let me pull that off. So the ABC looks fairly solid. Now this, right, this is a bitch. So what do we do with that? So this, of course, looks much more like you're in the, this would be what you'd anticipate in a fourth. But it doesn't quite work. So the subdivision doesn't play here. So you'd have to, so maybe you can dig the 1, 2 here, 3, 4, maybe you can get that. But this looks like a triangle. We can't have a triangle in the second. So makes you suspect of this. So what's an alternate? Well, we could have more complexity here. So we could have a WXY. That's certainly within the realm of possibility here. This is so good. So perhaps we've got an X, meaning we'd be looking for an ABC. Well, this is, again, you have this problem where it looks like a fourth. Now, if it starts to get legs and we come down here and we get a deeper retracement, I don't know that I would necessarily shy away from the long side just on a straight algo play. It's a little confusing as to where we are in the Elliott count without at least one more pivot, because this is so problematic. It's not quite a perfect triangle, but the structure of it is so very much like what you'd anticipate in a fourth. And then I looked at it and said, well, could we be going 1? So I considered this. So maybe we'd gone 1 A B C, and we get a truncated C, and then we'd have to have gone 1 2, and we'd be in the 1 again. I suppose that's possible. See, it doesn't quite fit. So if you were trying to think A, B, C, D, E, it doesn't quite work, because you'd be thinking A, B. So unless you're going to get C, D, E, right? So where are you here? Right? It just doesn't work. So unless you went A, B, C into the B, C, D, E, but then you're kind of alternating, it just leaves you kind of wondering, going, well, where am I in the count? Because there's no retrace here. This is the deepest retrace we get, which is to a 38, which again leans you more into the idea that you've got a 4 there. So you'd have to dig a 1 out of this, or even an A out of this. You might be able to make the case here that even still you've just got no B wave. So okay, so one thought is when you're struggling like I am, trying to get a count on it. So wait, right? That's my first instinct to say, well, if I can't figure out where the hell we are, why am I going to force a trade here? And I need one more pivot somewhere. So this is either got to break down or break up. Now, if it goes up here, oh man, that's going to be actually even more. So then you're probably looking at you'd have to count it as an impulse. So if that finishes, then you're going to have to dig your 1 out here. You're going to have to go 3, 4, 5. That's the alternate that allows for this, even though this is not great. And so is there subdivision here? boy, it's a push, right? I mean, you're kind of, are you force fitting, right? So this structure here looks so much like a fourth that it makes you think bullish. Just out of curiosity, this is already too deep to have hit. Yeah, we're already through golden zone here. So where are you? You have no algo on your side here. So well, here we look interesting. We get the 786 damn near to the tick. So let me get these off and think. So that would lean you more into the idea that maybe it's an X wave. All right, so A, B, C, W, X. You know, good. Yeah, so what do we got here? Right. It still implies that there's likely, if I had to, right? So my first thought is, if I'm this confused, no trade. Why force a trade? But gun to my head, I'd be a buyer, not a seller, because of this. Despite the fact I have no real 1-2 here, and then it's a little bit of a push in here. But if I had to, I'd be a buyer, not a seller here. But I don't have to, right? Nobody has to. So unless you're currently long, I don't see a reason to pursue this, because this is just unclear. And there's just too many choices, right? So if you want to be long in the weed stocks, there's other choices. This is a little bit, who the fuck knows, right? It doesn't quite make sense. So if I'm confused, when in doubt, stay out. If you're long, you could be kind of watching for that. Then we'd have a better idea of where we were, because if we get this, then we're going to kind of by process of elimination what's left. So this would likely be, we'd call this an impulse here. So the better trade would be to wait, see what happens here. Regardless, if we come down here and test a 50, I might look at that. I'd prefer it up here, because then I know better where I am. So I'd be coming up to these prior highs. So would it make sense to get there? So if I come back the other direction, so if that's my 2 here at this pivot, and I come up to this as my 3, 38, that would give me this. So then after that, again, I'll just use the algo target up here. If I complete, then I'd be looking for the buy side here. Now, do I have any structure to the left? Yeah, I certainly wouldn't ignore that as a possibility here, just below the golden zone here. So if this were to come down, I just like this better. If we get something like this, then I'm really excited about it. Until then, again, guys, why, right? If it's that uncertain. Now, this, of course, is beautiful, but how do we get the subdivision out of this? So I'd be waiting to see here let me say it this way. If I'm long, I stay long. I wouldn't bail because I'm unsure about where we are. If it goes up and does that, I'd be, kind of eyeballing this zone up here, saying, well, the supply has been there before, and the structure here and the symmetry and everything else would suggest that might be a place to look at, if nothing else, a partial profit. We just don't have much else to work with here other than that completed impulse and the very precise technical correction. So you want to think this would be just the 1 wave here before we start the 2 and then push up into, that's a better way to get after breaking these highs than to be thinking, oh, here it goes and we're going to break and keep going. It doesn't quite fit. So I would not be if I were not in it, I would not be a buyer here. If I'm currently long, I'd stay long. I certainly would not be here looking to sell it. There's no reason, right? It's not good enough here. I wouldn't be selling it here, but it's not good enough for a fresh trade to take a long there. It'd be my view, right? That's what I would do, right? Have at it. If you like it and you just like for whatever reason, you like the fundamentals, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't, how much room are you going to give it? I don't know that I'd go too much beyond this pivot here, because if this starts to break down, then we might have to rethink it. So I'd be, let's look at, so what's your best case here? If you're a buyer here on the idea that we're going to have this is going to play as the 4, you've got a target up here. If you're just putting a stop under this pivot here, well, there's 4 to 1, giving it a little wiggle room around this pivot. If you're long, you'd rather see the 233 hold here as we come into the Vegas wave. So there's 4.16 to 1. It's nothing wrong with it. But, you know, not one that I would pursue, at least not at this point. Now come down here. Now I get more interested. All right, guys. Talk to you.